All right, guys. So today we're doing NBA power rankings. So we're gonna start with the Bucks. Um, Honestly, this is a very interesting team. I think I'm gonna put them in wild cards. Um, it all really depends on Giannis because if he's healthy, they could be good. They could be 3 seed if they're if Giannis is healthy and plays good. He could be MVP. But if he gets hurt, this team really only has Miles Turner, who can't lead a team to the playoffs. So honestly, I think they're just wild cards. I could see them as bad or even playoff locks. So it honestly really depends on where they're going to go this season with him. I see them in the 7 to 8 seed range though, maybe around 6. Brooklyn Nets, worst team in the NBA. Didn't really like what they did on draft night. They got Michael Porter Jr. I'm assuming they'll get back Cam Thomas, so that's just a lot of shot truckers on the same team. I'm not a big Yegor Demon guy. Um, you know, I just don't really think they're gonna be better than the Jazz or any other team at the bottom, the Wizards. I don't see this team being good at all. But yeah, I don't really see this Brooklyn Nets team going anywhere this season. They were good. They were surprisingly good at the start of last season, but I don't know. Now we got the Knicks. I think honestly, I'd put them in contenders. I think they're either going to be the 1 or 2 seed in the East. Probably the 2 seed, just because I think Cleveland would be better than them. But I really like what their roster has. They have great defenders around Cat and Brunson, which is exactly what you need around them. OG, I think, is going to have a big year this year. Mikal just had a great year. They got some new depth. They got Jordan Clarkson. They got Yabusele. I honestly think this team could be really good this year. Honestly, maybe a finals team. It really all depends on the health of their team and the other teams in the East. But I could see them in the finals against some teams we'll get to in a little bit. Toronto Raptors, I think they're going to be in the play-in this year. I'm not as high as other people are on them. They have a decent roster. I'm excited to see what Brandon Ingram can do with them. They got Colin Murray-Boyles, who I really liked coming out of the draft. And they still have some good depth from last year. Jamal Shead, Jonathan Mogbo. Still got R.J. Barrett, who I think they should try to move on from. But, they still got a solid roster, and I think they're going to blend well together. The Jazz, I see them as the second worst team in the NBA. I like Ace Bailey. They're definitely the worst team in the West, though. Lauri Markkanen kind of fell off from when he was an all-star. He's just not what he used to be. Maybe he can have a bounce-back year this year, but I'm not really too sure about that. Who else do they have? They just got rid of Jordan Clarkson. They have Keontae George, who's cool. I don't really know how much they're going to do this year, though. The Houston Rockets. This is a team, it's either between contenders or title favorites. I'm going to put them in contenders right under the Knicks. They look really good on paper. You got KD, you add Dorian Finney-Smith, you add Clint Capella. You got some really good depth there. I like what they're building with Amen Thompson, Sengun, Tari Eason, all that. Sucks giving up Dylan Brooks, but you get Kevin Durant in return for him, Jalen Green. That's really not bad at all. And I think this team could make a lot of noise this year in the West. I see them as a 2 or 3 seed between them and Denver, probably. But I think this team is definitely going places this year, and I would not be surprised if I see them in the finals. Really good team. The Pelicans, it really depends on health. I could see them in wild cards, but honestly, I think I'm just going to put them in bad. Zion hasn't proved to be healthy in years. DeJounte Murray hasn't enjoyed his time there. Who are they? They got Jordan Poole this offseason, but I don't really think that's going to change much. Trey Murphy could have a breakout year like he did last year. Take that next step, which would be nice for him. He deserves that, but I'm not too sure about it. And this team really doesn't have too much center depth still. You signed Kevon Looney, but he is not really a great backup to have in 2025. All right, the Lakers, I see them as playoff locks. You got a skinny Luka. You got DeAndre Ayton, who is not what he used to be, but could still be a serviceable starting center for you. You got Marcus Smart to come off your bench. That'll be good. I don't know what's going on with the whole LeBron situation. He might ask out by the trade deadline. Not sure. I guess we'll have to see where that goes. I honestly could see him being off this team by the end of next season, but you never know with LeBron. Could retire next year. But what I want from him is to go one more year, the Lakers, and sign with Cleveland. Chicago, always in the play-in mix. I think they'll bring back Josh Giddey on around the $28 million price mark. A lot more than they want to give him, but that's what you're going to have to do for Josh Giddey. I like Kobe White, who's good for them. Noah Essengay, not really the greatest pick of all time, but I still think they have a play-in roster. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're really bad this year or they're top 5 in the East. Minnesota, back-to-back conference finals. We could see them in a third. I like Anthony Edwards. He's been outstanding these past few years. We were a little bit shaky with Julius Randle at first, but it started to blend well. He played great in the playoffs. I can honestly see them going to back-to-back conference finals now. They got a good roster. I think they just need to get themselves a new point guard because Mike Conley is getting up there in age, and he's not the same of what he used to be. But if Rob Dillingham can maybe step up this year, that'd be huge for them. They can get a nice starting point guard who can score the ball a lot. You just got to work on that defense. Portland, they really have a lot of nice pieces. And if they were in the East, I'd probably put them in the play-in. But I'm going to put them at the top of bad for right now. I like what they did getting Drew Holiday back. Dame obviously won't be playing this year, but next year that'll be a good piece for them. Denny Abdia was great for them last year. So was Toumani Camara. I like how they released DeAndre Ayton because it lets Donovan Clingan and their young guy, Hanson Yang, get more minutes, so that'll be good. The Nuggets. I love what the Nuggets did this offseason. I'm going to put them in title favorites. They were outstanding. They got Cam Johnson, Tim Hardaway Jr., Bruce Brown back, and Jonas Valanciunas. I love their depth, which is exactly what they need around Jokic. And I think this team could be probably the best bet to take down the OKC Thunder because they look amazing going into this year. I don't know if Houston might be better than them. I think those two are going to be, like, you could interswitch them as much as you want. But I prefer Denver over them. OKC, obviously, best team in the NBA, number one, champions, great defenders, just SGA, amazing. You got to put them at the top of title favorites. I could see them going back-to-back this year. First back-to-back champion since the Warriors. You never know. This team is generationally good. I think they're going to be close to probably the 70-win mark, which a lot of people are going to be surprised, but I think they could do it. If it was going to be any team to do it, it would definitely be this team. This team is just generationally good. Memphis Grizzlies, honestly, wild cards, yeah. I think I'm going to set them in wild cards. This team could be really good or really bad. I could see them in top 5 seed or bottom 5 seed. It all depends on their health. Ja has not been consistently healthy in a few years, but when he plays, he is great. Same with Jaren Jackson Jr., who's going to miss the beginning of the season due to a foot injury, I believe. So, honestly, I think KCP is going to have a bounce-back year with them. They need Jalen Wells to keep shooting the ball well. They need Zach Edey to improve his three. If they could just start shooting the ball better, it'd be good. Dallas, another wild card. They could either be, once again, a top 5 seed or a bottom 5 seed. It really depends on health. You're missing Kyrie for like half the season or so. You still have AD. You still got Cooper Flagg. You still got Klay Thompson. Still got Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively. It's a very, very deep team that I could see making a playoff push. And I think D'Angelo Russell will probably be solid to put at the point guard spot until Kyrie gets back. I think he'll be all right for them. Maybe I would trade one of your front court pieces to try to get some more backcourt depth. San Antonio, I think this is the year they make the leap into the play-in. I think Wemby's going to have a great season, look like a top 7 player in this league. Maybe even MVP conversations, I'm not too sure. De'Aaron Fox, I think, is going to be really good coming off that extension. You do lose Chris Paul, which kind of sucks, but De'Aaron Fox is a good addition. Devin Vassell, I think, is going to get a year better. People underrate him. I like Dylan Harper a lot coming out of Rutgers. He's going to be good. Stephon Castle in year 2. Hopefully he can take the next step. And I honestly think this team, this is another team where I might even consider it a wild card because it could be bad or really good, but I think I'm going to keep them in the play-in. Phoenix, this is my favorite team. It's sad to see what's happened to Phoenix, but I think they're at the top of bad. I think they're going to be just out of the play-in. I like what they have, though. Dylan Brooks, Devin Booker, Jalen Green. They got a very scrappy team. And if Mark Williams can stay healthy, this team could be in the play-in. But then again, could get injured. this team could be really bad. Kaman Malawach could be not what we want him to be. So you never know. Kim coming out of Duke, he looked like a really good defender, but then in Summer League, not so much. So you never know with Phoenix, but Booker could play out of his mind, take us to the playoffs. That'd be really nice. Los Angeles, the Unction. I think honestly they're better than the Lakers, but worse than Minnesota. I like what they have. Bradley Beal and Chris Paul and Brook Lopez, great additions to this team. Same with John Collins. I think he's going to fit in very well with the starting lineup. You lose Norman Powell, who that's not great to lose, but Bradley Beal kind of replaces what he does a little bit. Plus, you add on John Collins, and you got an actual backup center in Brook Lopez. This team, I think, is going to make a lot of noise in the West. I think they're getting a little bit overhyped, but I think they're going to be good this year. It really all depends on Kawhi's health. If we can keep him healthy, then maybe the Clippers make some noise this year. Harden was good last year, had a really, really nice year. Hopefully he can be an all-star again for them. Kawhi, his knees are apparently healthy, so we'll see. Golden State, put them in the play-in. First full year of Jimmy and Steph together. I like that team. I just don't think in this Western Conference, like the Wild West as people are calling it, I don't think they're going to be able to make any noise. They're too old. I don't know what's going on with the Jonathan Kuminga situation. You don't want to bring him back on the qualifying offer because then it's just going to diminish his value. It's going to diminish everything. I don't think it's a good idea. I think, honestly, they should try and get a sign and trade as best they can. Malik Monk wouldn't be a bad option. Just saying. I don't know why they don't try something like that. Detroit? I'm going to put Detroit in playoff locks under Minnesota. They looked really good last year. I'm hoping they can get Malik Beasley back now that he's cleared of everything. Duncan Robinson was a nice addition, so was Karis LeVert. I like what they did with Tobias Harris signing last offseason. Asor Thompson can hopefully take that leap after having his first full healthy offseason. Cade maybe take that next leap into the MVP conversations. We'll see. Sacramento, I think they're going to be bad. It's literally just the Sacramento Bulls. You get Levine, you get DeRozan. Over there it's Sabonis instead of Vucevic. I mean, maybe they make a Jonathan Kuminga trade and they sign Russ, but still, I think that's just a team of a whole lot of mid. They give Dennis Schroeder that big contract. I wouldn't pay him $15 million a year, but whatever. Cleveland, I think they're going to be the best team in the East. Were really good last year. I would put them in title favorites. Honestly, as long as they don't get hurt in the playoffs again or fold like they have the past few years, I think they could be really good. Evan Mobley, I think next year he's really going to show this is his team, and he's going to take over that best player mark from Donovan Mitchell. I think he's going to have a really good year, and I like some of the additions they made. I like Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball would definitely be good to replace Ty Jerome because he's a really good playmaker, and I like what he can bring off the bench. Boston. I think Boston's going to be bad, just over New Orleans. They have no depth. They just got Chris Boucher, but it's not really going to be much as a starting center. Jaylen Brown, I don't think is going to be able to be a great number one option. Derek White and Peyton Pritchard can't carry this team by themselves. Anthony Simons, he's solid, but I don't think he's going to be able to help lead this team to the playoffs. I think they need better front court depth. Philly, honestly, I see Philly as a wild card, right below Milwaukee. It's really all going to depend on their health, obviously, with Joel Embiid and Paul George. I think Paul George could have a bounce-back year this year if he's healthy. Same with Joel. I like their young core with VJ Edgecombe, Jared McCain, Justin Edwards, Dembona. I like what they're building there. Tyrese Maxey coming off of a good year for him. He just got hurt a lot too. Teams just, if they could stay healthy, I think that could be one of the best teams in the East. Charlotte, I can't bank on this core anymore. They never stay healthy. I think LaMelo Ball needs to get out of there because he cannot stay on the court for them, and they need to trade him while they can get value out of him. He's very good when he's on the court, but the problem with him is he can't stay on the court. I like Miles Bridges. I like how they traded for Colin Sexton. That was a good move. A great move. I like the rookie class they got. The rookie class they got's looking good. The Wizards, still a really young team. I don't think they're going to really make too much noise this year. Even though the East is wide open, I don't think they do too much this year. I like A.J. Johnson. I like what he brings to the table. I like some of the vets that they have. They could really mentor those young guys. Alex Sarr looked way better than he did in Summer League last year, at the end of last year. He really picked it up. Orlando, I'm put them in playoff locks. I think they're above Detroit. I see them as finishing like 3 seed. I like the Desmond Bane addition. They definitely needed a shooter. I think they could still add some more shooting, though. I would get like a Seth Curry if they have a roster spot open. Tyus Jones, definitely a good playmaker to get them off the bench. He could also space the floor very well. I honestly think this team could be a dark horse contender in the East. You got to watch out for them. Miami. I'm going to put them in the play-in, as usual. I like what they did getting Norman Powell. They didn't really give up much. They just gave up Kevin Love, Kyle Anderson a second, which is like nothing. You bring back Davion Mitchell, Tyler Hero coming off of an all-star year. Hopefully Bam Adebayo can have a little bit of a bounce back this year. Look better than he did last year coming off that Team USA appearance. I honestly think this team could finish as like a 6 seed, but I see them finishing in the play-in. I don't think they go too far in the playoffs. If they make it, it's just not really that good of a team. Atlanta, I see them as playoff locks. I think you bring in Porzingis for like nothing. That was a good move. You really got to worry about the Trae Young extension. I think that's going to be more of an off-season problem for them. But Jalen Johnson, if he can stay on the court, he's really good. I like Onyeka Okongwu. I like Zachary Reese-Shea. I like a lot of these young guys and a lot of these pieces that they have, and I think what they're building is looking really good so far. I think if they could trade for another shooter or two, like maybe like a Grayson Allen, that would be good for them. Indiana, I'll put them as the top of bad. I think they'll be right out of that play-in spot. Pascal Siakam needs to step up this year as a number 1. I think Andrew Nembhard, hopefully, he can have a bounce back year off after last year, not having a great year. He was good in the playoffs, but the regular season wasn't great for him. Same with Aaron Nesmith. If these guys can step up, then maybe I could see them in the play-in, but I just don't think that they have the depth for it or anything. But I think they'll be good. I don't know. I'm gonna leave them on the top of bad. Thank you guys for checking out my first video. I'll see you guys. Peace.